A coworker once told me, "Graham, there's two types of people in this world. People with tight hips and liars." Let me show you today why my hips don't lie and neither do I. If your squat depth sucks, you don't just need more flexibility. If you're not lengthening and strengthening at the same time, applying progressive resistance, loaded stretching, or dynamic mobility, you're leaving tons of potential on the table. Honestly, the reason our hips and ankles aren't doing their job is just because they're weak in ranges we've never trained before. Flexibility is the lengthening of a muscle or muscle group. Yes, it is increasing range of motion, but more importantly, mobility is control through that same range of motion. It's the capacity or space that a joint has to move freely through a full functional range of motion. So in this video, we're not just stretching to get loose, we're training to get stronger and more stable in those deep positions. Let's dive in. Beginning with the 90-90 stretch. If you struggle to get in this position, you can modify it slightly by propping yourself up slightly with your hands. If you feel pressure on your knee at all, reposition your hands until you find that sweet spot that targets your hips. Hold this for 30 seconds, reaching forward and to the side with the goal over time bringing your belly button parallel to the floor. Now, this really sets us up for this next progression, which introduces a little bit of dynamic mobility into this. The goal with this one is to rotate fully from external to internal rotation, tapping the heels and then rotating back out, tapping the knee while keeping your foot elevated and off the ground to the best of your ability. Next up, we have the elevated pigeon pose. Adjust the platform to find your starting point. The lower it is, the harder it gets. You can include a bit of dynamic movement to this one by leaning further into it, but keep in mind again, if you feel pressure in the knee at all, readjust or regress the difficulty until you find that sweet spot again that targets your hips. Over time, you can begin holding a kettlebell to increase resistance and develop more strength in that bottom range of motion. Now, following that, we have the butterfly stretch. Many of you guys probably already find this one to be easier or entry level, but to make this that much more difficult, we can add some dumbbells or kettlebells to add a little bit of resistance to open up those hips more and gain more strength in that bottom range of motion. Really though, if I was short on time and I had to pick just one exercise to target my hips, it would be Cossack squats. The ceiling for Cossack squats is a very high one in my opinion. To this day, I still find myself humbled by some of the advanced progressions. If you lack range of motion in this exercise, you can hold a kettlebell in front of you so that the weight pulls you into that range of motion more and more. If you struggle, you can hold something in front of you for stability as well. Remember these cues though: chest up, core braced, tracking your knees over your toes. Really, you want to feel this on the squatting leg. You don't want to be applying much pressure on that other leg. Whether you want to point your toes up or down, that's all personal preference. Moving on to ankle mobility or dorsiflexion. This is probably one of the most common or overlooked weak points in a lot of people. Many of you know the short-term fix is to chalk or elevate your heel with plates or weightlifting shoes. But if you want to rip the band-aid off and focus on the long-term solution to get you there, this is the 3-step solution that worked for me. Perform a lunge on a slightly elevated platform, anchoring a resistance band just above the talus. If you have stiff ankles or you're recovering from a sprain, sometimes the talus can sit slightly forward, limiting that range of motion of the ankle. But when we apply this posterior directed force against the talus, it really helps restore proper joint mechanics during the movement and helps us to increase that range of motion. Treat this as a dynamic movement, perform it for reps, train close to failure, but really focus on that isometric squeeze in that bottom range. Next up, we have the kettlebell lunge. This is a resistance drill where we're going to try to hold that bottom range of the lunge. If you still feel unstable, perform it without the weight, but once you feel more stable, you can eventually use a light kettlebell to increase your mobility and control. To wrap up dorsiflexion and ankle mobility, many people don't know this, but strengthening the tibias can really help indirectly improve ankle dorsiflexion, as well as many knee issues as well. To perform tibia wall raises, walk a couple steps out from the wall, lock out your legs while still leaning into the wall. We're gonna alternate between ankle flexion and extension through this. think about driving your hips into the wall. To make it easier, get closer to the wall, but to make it harder, you can walk further from the wall or incorporate a platform for increased range of motion. Last but not least, this is the big one that ties everything together. I'm sure you've all heard this before.
Train your damn hip flexors.
But how do we train our damn hip flexors? You can use resistance bands, kettlebells, or both. Again, there's no right or wrong way. There's many different ways to train your hip flexors. Personally, I like to do my hip flexor work as a finisher to my leg days, but my favorite way to train them and get the best bang for my buck is the hollow body hip flexor pull, or at least that's what I call it. L-sit training is a great one as well. What do you guys include in your mobility routines? What's worked for you? What hasn't? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys want to learn more about hollow body positioning, or if you're training for the dragon squat, check out these two videos next. Later, guys.